What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I'm here today to talk about Terrifier 3. Now, I know this movie released back in October, but for me personally, indulging in anything Christmas related before Halloween is a sin, and I cannot do it. I've always been that way, and it's no different here. But I did put in a tweet that I bought a ticket to support Damien and the crew with this indie effort, and I said that I was going to double back and watch it when it is Christmas season, and that's why I'm here today, because I am so happy that I waited till now to watch it, because the vibes paired with the season is a chef's kiss. Now, first of all, this follows the events of Terrifier 2, following Sienna as she tries to put the pieces of her life back together after Art pretty much ripped hers apart. So she goes and tries to vacate with a aunt of hers to celebrate the Christmas season and also help find herself as she's been dealing with this whole thing, like I mentioned. And while she's there, of course, Art the Clown shows up and ensues more mayhem. Now, the first thing I love about this film is the cinematography. It is a gorgeous movie and it's easily the best looking out of the three. I didn't look up what technicalities went along with filming, like the lenses and type of lighting, but I know it looks good and this movie looks fucking great. They were able to capture this late 70s, early 80s energy with it, so it feels like it's ripped from that time. I remember watching this movie thinking like, is this supposed to take place back then? Because of how convincing the imagery looked here. There's this nice film grain that puts you in the mindset of Black Christmas, which is really what the vibe, the look, and the texture of the movie feel like. And that's one of my favorite horror movies, period. So anything taking inspiration from that is a win for me. The film does a few time jumps, and I'm wondering, like, is this a different, like, universe jump where we're taking place back in the 80s? But it's just the look of it. Just phenomenally shot. I love how it's lit. You can definitely tell the budget went up and shows what Damien as a director is able to do with a larger budget, because I can't get over that enough. This movie is gorgeous. Just from a visual standpoint, the colors really pop, but there's this kind of desaturation with it to make it look older than what it is. And oh, I just love how this film looks, and for that alone, I will be rewatching this every year as part of my Christmas horror films. And as usual, that you can expect with terrifying movies, the practical effects are great. And I want to take it a step further and talk about the violence here. So one of the things that I was very curious about and kind of weary of is how they were going to handle it in this movie, because you've seen Terrifier 2, it is brutal as hell, and it even goes past that in certain scenes, like the infamous bedroom scene. Like, that scene for me was a bit much. I just don't like that scene. I haven't watched that movie since because of that sequence, and even the third act when Art is fighting Sienna and just how he's whipping her, and it's just like, it just doesn't sit right with me watching it. Even though I can respect the filmmakers and what they tried to do, I'm just not with that. But I can say in this movie, for me, it never goes to that point of just sheer cruelty where I felt like it was torture. And it's crazy because there are slashers that do have a little bit of torture in it, and even in this film there's a little bit of torture in a sequence where somebody's strapped to a chair. But I don't know, I can't even explain it. I would have to take a deep dive into my psyche as to why that bedroom scene messed with me. But again, that's not here. I think the violence is over the top, so if you are a squeamish person, you might not want to watch it because some shit gets crazy in here. I mean, even the opening sequence is a lot. A lot of the violence is so over the top that it just makes me laugh. And I think when a film can capture its over the top violence in that way, to where it's campy and it's the most unrealistic thing ever, to where you could tell like the effects are great, but this is fake as shit, because this is just no way this could happen. Like, there's one sequence that happens in a mall that just made me bust out laughing, and I was holding my side, like holding back tears, crying, just how over the top this attack was. Like, it was funny as hell. And speaking of the mall, to kind of bring it back to the cinematography and capturing that late 70s and early 80s feel, the movie just really provides a really great Christmas aesthetic overall. Like, capturing of the mall. There are even a lot of wide shots of houses being lit up by Christmas lights, and everything is decorated and covered in Christmas paraphernalia, and it just really has this cozy feeling to it. It's shot in a way to keep everything very intimate and cozy, and that goes along with the Christmas vibes. As corny as that may sound. The next thing I love about the film is the actress who played Sienna. I forgot her name, I don't want to disrespect her, but she did an outstanding job because this movie deals with her trauma, and she's able to really hone in on that emotion that feels very realistic. There are moments when she's trying to keep it together and can't, so she walks away, and there are moments when she tries to keep it together and she spazzes out, and it all feels necessary to the sequence, but she's able to sell it with her facial expressions and the command she has in her vocals, being able to turn it off and on. And not to mention, I believe she has a background in stunt work, so she is just an ass kicking final girl. I absolutely loved the final showdown of what she did when she faced Art the Clown. Even like the design of having something specifically on her that just made it feel very epic, because I don't think I've seen a lot of slashers have a final bout like this. Like, there's actually some really great choreography that I was like, oh, this is hard. Like, I actually want to see her in an action movie leading, because she kicked ass. And as usual, Art the Clown is Art the Clown. And if you love Art, you're gonna love him here, because he's the same sinister self, laughing silently. There's one scene in a bar that I found to be very Terrifier 1-esque that kind of reminded me of the pizza parlor scene, and I thought it was a great way to keep the roots of Art in the film. So to double down on Art, what this film also does, which I do like but also feel a bit is they provide some lore about why Art is who he is and why he's able to do these things. And I'm not gonna lie, it gets a little bit muddy in certain spaces where it's kind of like, okay, so this is that, this person is this, and because I feel like the pieces are missing purposely. I've heard Damien speak about Terrifier 4, so you could definitely tell that this is a building story. I'm probably gonna rewatch it again just to try to put those pieces back together, but off of first watch, I still was like, I don't really know if this works or not, but I like that they're trying to pump something into the lore as to why Art is the way he is. And I even love the territory they go to in the third act. Like, it felt like something pulled straight out of Elm Street. I was like, whoa, this is 100% homage to that. And it makes me wonder as to where the next film is going to go because of the things that they did here. So overall, I really, really enjoyed this film. I think it's the best movie out of all of them, and it's my personal favorite out of all three. And like I said, this is gonna go into my Christmas horror rotation because of the Christmas vibes. The gore is exactly where I want it to be as far as where they take it to. And I like the lore, and the acting, especially from the lead actress, is phenomenal. So if you've seen the movie, let me know in the comments what you thought about Terrifier 3. Where do you rank all three films? And as usual, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.